92.3 K-Rock, it is Underexposed, and as promised, joining me on the phone, this is a real treat for me. I have Jeff Turzo, who, Jeff, I was looking over your resume, and I knew it was impressive, but every time I turned the page, it just got more and more impressive. So I'm just going to say Jeff is part of a brand new band I've been playing here at Underexposed called Wired All Wrong. Jeff was one half of God Lives Underwater, and your production credits just go on for pages. So, Jeff, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man.
It was kind of, I didn't even realize this as I'm going through all your credits that you produced the new Hello Goodbye CD, Zombies, Aliens, Vampires, and Dinosaurs.
Yes, Matt and I produced it together, actually.
Which is honestly one of my favorite new CDs that have come out.
Oh, cool.
That is, and it was so. I'm reading. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even realize he was part of that. And now it's all coming together. So very cool. I'm very excited.
Excellent.
So Wired All Wrong is. I guess you've been working on this project for a while, but finally it's seen the light of day. The CD, Break Out the Battle Tapes, just hit stores yesterday. Give me a little background on how Wired All Wrong came about.
Well, Wired All Wrong actually started, almost like four or 5 years ago, as something I was working on by myself.
Okay.
Just tracks, for the most part, fun tracks. In the midst of all that production work I was doing, I was needed to do something at night.
Okay.
And, that's what it became, and then I started looking for someone to sing on it, and kind of struggled for a few years, working with people, and then actually hooked up with my friend Matt, who's an old friend of mine, who I had never actually made music with before.
Okay.
And I just gave him a track, and he brought me something back in a couple hours, and I was just like, I heard like 2 seconds of it, and was like, all right, we got to do more.
Like, we got a band, and of course you talk about Matt Mahaffey, who was in Self.
Yes.
Which Self itself was an amazing band. So it's like, you're getting two halves of two great bands put together into one. I don't want to call it a super group, but I guess I will. It's kind of like an underground, underexposed alternative super group, if you will. So I guess we'll refer to that. So let's play a track off of the Wired All Wrong CD, Break Out the Battle Tapes, which is in stores now. And it's been out for a while on iTunes, wasn't it? I think I saw it like last week on iTunes.
Yes, it was out a week early on iTunes.
You gotta love that. You gotta love that. I mean, that's the way to go, man. Get it out there digitally. And, take advantage of it while it's out there.
Absolutely.
So the first track we're going to play is called Nothing at All. Where in the process of recording this CD did Nothing at All come in? Was it like one of the early things you worked on, or did it come near the end?
Nothing at All was one of the earlier ones. There was like half the record was done over the past 2 years, and then half the record was done over the past 3 months.
There's a hell of a time span.
Well, because we started to see the end, like, wow, we should just make a whole album, and then that's why it picked up, and why it was kind of like in a couple months we did a lot. But Nothing at All was part of the first batch. Gotcha.
All right, so here it is. Jeff Turzo from Wired All Wrong. This is Nothing at All on Underexposed, 92.3 K-Rock. It's Underexposed, 92.3 K-Rock. God Lives Underwater. The track is called All Wrong. I know God Lives Underwater. Actually, we have Jeff Turzo from Wired All Wrong and God Lives Underwater on the phone with us. God Lives Underwater played in Cleveland quite a few times, didn't they?
Yeah, we did. Cleveland was always like one of those places we kind of looked forward to going and felt at home at. So.
I saw, let's say my body was at a show. It was a New Year's Eve. I don't remember what year it was. You played with Filter.
At the ballroom.
At the Agora.
The Agora. Yes, I remember it well.
90. I'm glad you do. 90. God, what year was it? 97?
Yeah, that would be about right. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, the end of. We had actually just finished doing a whole tour of Europe with Filter, and they tacked on this. Said, you can do one more show New Year's Eve, and we thought that sounds cool.
It was from what I remember, it was a great show. It was a great way to end the year. But God Lives Underwater, what a great band that was, man! It was, and I don't know. I'm sure people are aware that Dave Riley, who was a vocalist in that band, passed away. It's been almost a year.
Yeah,
and that was, man. I'll tell you what. The day I learned of that, it was actually I had a photo of Dave and I together from a show, and what a loss.
Absolutely.
Just a terrible loss. I mean, a great band, and you guys rode a nice wave. You had, some pretty decent success there.
Yeah, we always kind of we sustained ourselves, which I think was success. It's like we got to do it for a long time, and unfortunately,
it's just
maybe we would have done another. But I think Dave actually has some stuff that might come out at some point.
Oh, that'd be great. I know. I check his MySpace page a lot. And it's just great to see that fans are always logging on there and still leaving messages. And, it's one guy that just because he's gone, his memory, is definitely alive and well.
Yeah, and it's, another really cool thing is that I meet a lot of younger bands now that were like, I listen to your band a lot, and I know a lot about Dave, and I'm really sorry. And it's just really cool to see that it definitely has had an effect on some younger bands and stuff, and David has too. So
it was great, very cool. So now that brings me to, I think it was 1998. I guess you and David were the brainchild for a Depeche Mode tribute CD. Now, anybody can put a tribute CD together. Find a bunch of bands, grab a bunch of songs and do them. But I got to tell you, out of the billions of tribute CDs out there and the millions of Depeche Mode tribute CDs, this is by far the crown jewel.
Oh, thank you.
It's a who's who of alternative music. I mean, you had The Cure, you had Veruca Salt, you had Monster Magnet, Deftones, Rammstein. It's just amazing, and the packaging, you could tell every aspect of the CD was done by Depeche Mode fans. And I'm going to assume you and David were both huge Depeche Mode fans.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the first bands when we got together and met, and we were in high school. That was like that was the instant bond that we both had.
Yeah.
As Martin Gore was like our songwriter idol, and Depeche Mode was.
Is there a reason that all the songs on there are Martin Gore songs?
Well, most of the songs are Martin Gore songs anyway. He pretty much wrote all the songs.
But there's nothing that Vince Clarke worked on. There's nothing that even Andrew Wilder worked on. It's all.
I guess.
Or Alan Wilder, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Alan Wilder. And incidentally, it's interesting you mentioned Alan Wilder because when he left the band, that was another turning point. There was a turning point when Martin started writing all the songs, and another turning point when Alan Wilder left the band. And that's my favorite. That sort of in between part is my favorite part when Alan Wilder was a part of it and Martin Gore wrote the songs.
Yeah.
And I think that's why none of the. I mean, I love Vince Clarke too, but I think that's why none of those songs probably showed up on there because they hadn't quite developed into what I think Depeche Mode really was.
What they really were.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you, I'm a huge Depeche Mode fan as well, and I think that's what kind of drew me to God Lives Underwater, but have you gotten the Depeche Mode reissues yet?
I have not.
Speak and Spell, Violator, and Music for the Masses all reissued, and they're in 5.1.
So my friend was just telling me about the Violator one, and Violator is like one of my benchmark records that I put on once every couple of days just to check my ears.
Yeah.
And I need to go get that today.
But I got to tell you, when you put on Speak and Spell, the reissue, it sounds like it was recorded yesterday.
Oh, that's so great.
I put it in and I had goosebumps, and I just had it blaring. I'm like, this sounds like it was. I mean, there's no tape hiss. There is nothing. Just that pure, that old analog synth sound. I'm like, this is just incredible. So yeah, if you get a chance, go out and grab those because you'll definitely
do it
today. So let's play something from the For the Masses CD, and this is by Matt, the other half of Wired All Wrong, from his old band Self.
Yeah,
and it is the Depeche Mode song "Shame." And if you want, is this CD still an issue? Can you still get this, or?
I'm not sure actually.
Okay. Maybe check eBay, just For the Masses. I'm sure something will pop up. And if you have to buy an extra copy of Music for the Masses, what the hell? You know what? Everybody needs multiple copies of that. So this is Self.
I've bought my share over and over.
This is Self. It's Shame. And Jeff Turzo is on the phone with us. It's Underexposed on 92.3 K-Rock. It's Underexposed on 92.3 K-Rock. That is a Depeche Mode song, actually. It's called Shame by the band Self from the various artists For the Masses, a Depeche Mode tribute CD that came out in 1998. That was the brainchild of one of the men on the phone with me, Jeff Turzo, who was half of God Lives Underwater. And is it just you and Matt that's in Wired All Wrong? So do I call you half of Wired All Wrong?
Yeah, it's just Matt and I.
All right, so before we the brand new CD, by the way, Break Out the Battle Tapes in stores now, hit stores yesterday. Is there going to be a tour?
There is definitely going to be some touring, and that's actually what we're working on now. We have a first show we're doing on October 7th here in LA.
Okay,
downtown LA, and definitely some more after that.
Very cool. Well, keep us Clevelanders in mind.
Absolutely.
Please do. Yeah, so the new CD, I've actually That's one of the cool things about being in radio is sometimes you get CDs kind of like slipped to you a couple months early, and and Break Out the Battle Tapes was one of them, and I've just been hooked since I got it. It's got that you have this sound to you. It's like this really gritty, like you dug out this old dusty keyboard and just brought it back to life. And even the production stuff you do, the stuff you did as Massive Stereo, just has that like this Jeff Turzo signature to it. And that's what I like about Wired All Wrong. If anybody was a God Lives Underwater fan, they're going to just be in love with this CD.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
So is that, like, do you think of yourself as having, like, a signature sound?
I don't know that I think of it. I just know, like, the approach I've always had with my gear and keyboards and is that I would never use a preset sound, which these keyboards come loaded with sounds. And I almost, like, would intentionally like have to reset everything when I start, just to get something unique.
Yeah,
and because it's just not as satisfying any other way for me. So.
And that if you just take the preset sounds, that's not you. That's some factory in Japan that produces keyboard. That's their sound. That's not you.
Exactly.
Very cool. Well, Jeff, thank you very much for spending the time with us. Brand new CD, Break Out the Battle Tapes, in stores now. The band is called Wired All Wrong. Hopefully, we will see you in Cleveland.
You definitely will, and thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we're going to end with, I believe, this is the first track on the CD, 15 minutes, correct?
Yes.
This is the track that kicks off the CD. Like I said, the CD is in stores now. Well worth the purchase. Or just log on to iTunes and grab it from there. This is Wired All Wrong. It's 15 minutes on Underexposed, 92.3 K-Rock.